All right, so let's talk about tables. We did not cover tables last time we met. Basically, tables allow us to display tabular data, right? Tabular data typically will have a first heading where you have all the headings of different columns, right? And then you have different columns, right, that of the data that are typically of the data type that the heading describes, right? So if it's a first name, then it'll be all text, right? If it's a date of birth, then everything under there should be a date, yes? And so that's the intent. And each row in the table should represent some kind of record piece of information that you might have queried from some database or something like that. Okay, so that's the intent of the table, and we should only use it for that intent of displaying tabular information. So the table has the opening table tag and the closing table tag, and then you have the head, the body, and the foot, which is not shown here. So the head allows you to, they can all contain rows. You know, each one of them can contain rows. In the body, it makes sense, right? The body is the main content of the table, and you can have lots of rows, each one for one record. Make sense? Now, in the head, you can also have rows, right? The first row certainly would be where all the headings are, right? Where you say this is the username, the password, the first name, the last name, the date of birth, role, and so on and so forth. Yes? But you can have many more rows, right? You can have maybe you have a row that can span multiple columns, right? You can have one column that can span across multiple columns. Yeah, so maybe you can have one big column that says sections, and under there you can have three subsections, right? You know, CS 4500, CS 5610, and whatnot. Yes, so you can have a particular cell or data heading that spans across multiple subheadings. Yes, so that allows you to do that in the head, where you can create these kinds of structures. Same with the footer, right? The footer renders at the bottom of the table, where you can have like totals, right? Where you can have like summations, averages, things like that go across the length of the all the rows. So as an example for a table, here we're creating the heading of a table that is showing information about all our users, right? Their usernames, their password, their first name. Well, maybe not the password. So in the table here, we have the T head, and in that head we have one single row that then has several headings. You know, TH username, TH password, TH first name, and so on and so forth, right? And they render as follows, right? By default, tables don't have this big bold border, right? We can configure that by turning on border equal 1, although typically we wouldn't do that, right? Instead, we would use CSS to do this, right? To style it any which way you want, with the background, the foreground, and highlight things like that. Typically we would not use those attributes to style the look and feel of the table. The thing is that if you don't have border 1, it looks really, really ugly. You can't even tell it's a table. The other rows inside of the body, you could have actual data, right? Actual information, who the user is, the password. You might not show that. The first name, the last name, the role, and whatnot, and then maybe some links or buttons at the end to be able to manipulate information about that particular user.